There is a feeling, a deep concern about the availability of antibiotics to treat some of the resistant organisms. For some of these major problems, there really is right now only one antibiotic that works. So there's a fear that if the resistance would develop to that particular antibiotic, then we would have a major problem on our hands.
Staphylococcus aureus is the #1 cause of hospital infections. In recent years, the increasing number of resistant strains has caused alarm.
Among the Staph aureus strains in hospitals, many of them are resistant to everything except vancomycin. And so if vancomycin resistance moved into these strains, we could have untreatable strains of a very common resistant organism. That's a fear. Our hospital wards in the 1990s would look like the hospital wards in the 1930s, which was the pre-antibiotic era. There we had people dying of diseases such as typhoid and tuberculosis and diphtheria and pneumonia, and we really didn't have much to give them in the way of therapy.
The sun shines in Colorado almost every day in the year.
It has happened. A patient in a Tokyo hospital developed a vancomycin-resistant staph infection. If the strain travels to the United States, as resistant strains have in the past, doctors will have very few options.
One of the factors that has led to a global increase in resistance among bacteria is the fact that we have very mobile populations of people. You have international travel where you can literally take a resistant organism and transport it from one continent to the other in less than a day. So it's a major problem around the world.
Some resistant strains of disease are untreatable and potentially deadly. In 1994, a Korean woman flew from Baltimore to Chicago to Honolulu. Unknown to her, she had an active case of multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. After the woman died from the disease a month later, the passengers on the flights with her were tested. 15 tested positive for TB. These people may or may not develop active tuberculosis.
If we learned anything from the last 50 years of the antibiotic era, this race is going to continue. It may accelerate because we'll have new antibiotics as well as new classes of antibiotics in the future. But I think we'd be naive to think that just because we have a new class of antibiotics that's active against a currently resistant microorganism, that this process is going to stop. I don't believe that it will.
With the vancomycin, we need to worry about things like the renal toxicity and the ototoxicity, and that's the real problem with the organisms that cause resistance.
So we have a long haul ahead of us. It's going to be going home on IV antibiotics. Essentially, we have very few options to offer him.
You didn't even stop to say hi, did you? Yeah.
Elijah is ready to go home. A nurse will visit him there to set up his IV. He will be monitored carefully to make sure the antibiotic is not damaging his kidneys. 6 weeks later, Elijah's infection is finally gone.